Notts County Talk, we are live for the Pavis Perspective episode number, can you believe it, George? 54 we've got to. 54 episodes. As always, as last season and this season, we are sponsored by Better Bats Computers in Macaulay. As you will have seen on the open screen, you will have seen there will be some discount codes if you would like to use them. And as always, the website is in our description. If you're listening on Spotify, just go and check out Better Bites and the website. George, we've got a bit of a difference today, haven't we?
We have.
A bit of a difference. I'll explain it in a second. I'll explain it in maybe 2-3 minutes' time. We'll let a few more people get in. Let's see who's joining us tonight. Kian, nice to have you on. Charlie says no vote. There is going to be a vote, and we'll get to that in a second. Andrew, evening. Thank you for joining us. As you'll see, this is the Altrincham preview. It's not the Altrincham and Wrexham preview. Why is that, George?
Because after the game on Saturday, the channel is no more.
What?
No, not really. We're doing a special bumper episode on Sunday for the Wrexham game because we think there's no thinking about it. It's a huge game, one that I literally cannot wait for. Obviously, look for Saturday as well, but huge game, like massive game. Well, it feels massive to me anyway because there's so much positivity going around Notts at the minute. You know, one loss in 10 games. Wrexham, Notts, and Chesterfield really fighting out in that top three. Week in, week out, isn't it? It's pretty relentless. So to come up against one of those rivals in the top three, it's going to be a huge marker to see where we're at against one of our promotion rivals.
Couldn't have put it better myself.
After 10 games as well, like it couldn't come any better. It'll be our 12th game of the season, and they say judge your manager after 10 games, don't they?
Yeah.
So it's a good marker to see where we really are at against a promotion rival because I think we played Chesterfield a bit early, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and Luke Williams wasn't fully, he hadn't got his instructions through to the players.
I don't think it was bad, Chesterfield.
No, I thought we should have won the game. And if we'd won the game, what would it be? Level top? But we didn't. It'd be an interesting one. And I don't want this game to fall. I feel like if we'd have done an Altrincham and a Wrexham preview, we'd have barely spoken about the Altrincham game, in all honesty.
Yeah.
To me, it feels like a bit of a warm-up for the Wrexham game, but it can't be taken like that for the players. And I'm obviously looking forward to Saturday's game against Altrincham, but I'm really looking forward to Tuesday's game against Wrexham. And that's okay to feel like that as a fan, but the players will know that. Luke Williams will know that. If we don't perform against Altrincham and we're not in the right mindset, we don't get the result we want, going into the Wrexham game will be even harder with more pressure on. So I think it's really, really important to do that. Right. Before we go on, evening Ian, evening Debbie, Wayne, Maggie, thank you for joining us. The poll's a little bit different today, isn't it, George?
It is different. It is. Yeah.
We thought we'll give this a little go. We're going to tell you a fact from one of our pasts. Not so long ago. Good few years ago, not so long ago. And then we're going to give you our little statement to try and convince you, and you're going to guess who's telling the truth and who's lying. And then I'll put the poll in and you can have a go. And throughout the episode, we'll drop in hints. So you're going to have to work out which one of us used to work in a pub kitchen. Okay? Who used to work in a pub kitchen? Was it me? Or was it George? George, why did you used to work in a pub kitchen? What's your memory?
What's my memory? Loads of memories. Lots and lots and lots of memories.
Don't sound very convincing.
So many. The regulars that used to come in.
Right.
Used to be loads of regulars that came in.
Yeah.
One of my most vivid memories was probably when we had to clean the fryer out, and there's like a tap underneath.
Yeah.
And there used to be like this bucket that you used to like have to fill it into so we could put it into the oil for it to be collected. And one time it wasn't lined up with the tap properly, so oil went all over the kitchen floor, and it was a breakfast shift, so it was right at the start of the day. It was interesting. I had to clean it up, mop it up, and I don't know if you've ever had an oil spill, Tom. Have you ever had an oil spill?
No, but you haven't. Ian said it. Ian's done you on the first one. Regulars in the kitchen.
Or regulars for food.
We won't say the name of the pub, but regulars for food. George, you've literally just Googled how to clean a fryer. I tell you, I'll tell you why it's me. I remember. No, you've absolutely. Would I lie to you? That's essentially what I've got here.
Okay.
That's how convinced you are, George. So there we go. Yeah, I remember working in the kitchen of the pub that shall not be named. The fryer wasn't dirty. And do you remember when we played on TV in the FA Cup? Got ran around by Christian Oxlade-Chamberlain. You do remember that, don't you? I remember. I think that was the game. Watching that on my phone. Owner of the pub kept coming in the kitchen. I kept having to hide it, and managed to get away with it. That's some of my best memories. But I didn't clean the fryer out. So what was the food hygiene rating for the pub? We're not giving you any clues.
5.
Right. We're going to put that in now. Okay. What do you reckon? Who used to work in a pub kitchen? George seeing all the regulars come into the kitchen, which clearly isn't true. What do you think? It's gone in. Now to the football. I'm glad we got to the football. What a victory against York.
Yeah, what a great day that was. Fantastic. And the performance was one thing. Lots of individually fantastic performances. Rawlinson steps in, does really well. Can't, say enough good about him. Jim, fantastic. Langstaff never scores one goal. But Castro's goal is just a thing of beauty. It's been booting around on social media, hasn't it? So it's had plenty of views here, there, and everywhere. But what a goal. Like, to have the audacity to shoot from there, and he fancied it, and credit to him. You won't, from any distance ever, you will never see a free kick tucked that cleanly into the inside of the post. What a goal.
Even though, I know it's easy to say then and there, because it's happened right in front of you. Is that the best goal you've ever seen live?
Yeah, without a doubt. I'll put it on Twitter. Without a doubt, that's the best goal I've ever seen live. I've seen some good goals live. I mean, you got to look at good goals. Like, I know this is fairly recent. I've obviously seen more goals than like the time that we've done this channel. But Doyle's goal against Dagenham would be up there. But at the end of the day, all he's done, he's got it on target. Do you know what I mean? The keeper's not in the goal. But Castro has to beat the wall, has to beat the keeper, has to get it just right. The amount of time the keeper has to save that does justice to how well it was struck and so tight into the corner. Like that, there's nothing that keeper can do unless he is literally stood on his post and jumps up and catches it before it. And who stands on their post for a free kick like that? Ridiculous goal.
It was insane, wasn't it? I know you probably watched it back a number of times, but if you really do watch it back, there's like a delay with the Notts fans celebrating. I remember in person delaying that celebration because I couldn't believe it had gone in.
Yeah.
Someone behind you, and I remember he said in the vlog, said, "You're not shooting from there, are you?"
Yeah, he did. He was like, "Don't shoot."
I said that I said that. Guy next to me, I said it's too far out.
I'd literally put him on goal kicks now.
I am fairly sure he hits it with the side of his foot. I watch it back. It's like a knuckleball technique. He definitely hits it with
it's like
the instep of his foot almost. It's insane.
Yeah, weird, yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember the York man's name. Is it Askew? Something like that. He says he hasn't seen it back, but he'll need to speak to the goalkeeper as to how he feels about conceding that goal.
Yeah. If I was a goalkeeper, I'd just say one of them, innit?
You're never ever saving that.
It's one of them. It's top bins.
One of them, innit? One of them. Absolutely unbelievable. Chris, I delayed cheering as I couldn't work out what had just happened. It was outstanding. It was so good. And for you, is there a possibility? I know there's always a possibility of everything. Is it a possibility that gets beaten for goal of the season, or for you, is that pretty much? Would it have to be insane to beat that?
Yeah, obviously, it'd have to be insane to beat that. What a goal.
You're still buzzing?
I'm still buzzing, yeah. And I mean, it's easy to look at his goal and say, "Well, what a goal and all that," but like, his commitment to the team throughout the game was fantastic. Like he had a really good performance. So obviously the goal was fantastic, but what he gave after was just even better. I thought he played really well. Uh, Makes it ever more difficult for Williams to pick his team on match day, I think, now, because you have so many players that are just chomping at the bit to go that are in form. I know Scott's got a bit of an injury, but he is in form. You've got Austin that's, coming back from an injury. He came on against York, didn't he? But you have Ruben as well. You've got Langstaff now. You've got Castro. You have all these attacking players now for options, and that's not to mention a few others as well. So how he picked the team now is beyond me.
It's hard, isn't it? Because like you said,
hard.
Even the subs came on. Austin, they were good when they came on. Castro, thought he looked quite good when he came on against Aldershot. Didn't expect him to play that well. Take the goal out of it. It's still a great performance. It's still like an 8.5 out of 10 performance. So yeah, looking at that goal, celebration's almost as good as well. He's just got the physicality needed. Let's not forget he's played in League One very, very recently. So the fact he's now dropped down 2 divisions doesn't look out of place. Castro till the end of the season. I'd love to think so.
Why not?
I think so. I'd definitely take it.
I am very much of that mindset though. Like I'm not really like, obviously it's amazing to have these good players when they're in form and that, but like if Austin's banging form and doing great things in the game as well, like why extend it? Do you know what I mean? It's easy to say this now. He's just got a great goal and a great performance, but it's not like we don't have options if he isn't there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to not get carried away with that one, because when we bought him in, you got to admit we were like, we don't really need a player in that position, but he's bought something, he's offered something, and what a player he is at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. We need to talk about the game before the York game. Was a really, really poor result.
Dorking.
Yeah, Dorking. Yeah. And we've bounced back. I thought from the first minute, I watched back, and one of the things I wanted to note, because it didn't go in, we're not really going to be talked about. The ball over the top from Sam Slocum has the ball. It's not a goal kick. It's just in play. And he puts it over the top, and Langstaff takes it down. It's like, what a first touch. And then he hits it, and it goes straight to the keeper, which is unfortunate. But that would have been one of the goals of the season as well. We were so good. We should have been 2-3 up. They then sort of clear it off the line. But it's just disappointing that they go and get it. But for you, how impressive is it this season, especially, that we've come back from disappointment, which in the past would have been a 3 or 4 game winless run? It almost reminds me of when I'd have had a really bad shift at the pub, and then I'll come in the next day fresh and I talk to myself and I put in a great shift. That's what it makes me think of, and I cook the best breakfast you'd ever seen. That's what it reminds me of. I don't believe you. Punter's in the kitchen with you, not having it. But you know what I mean? Last season we'd have moped around for 2 or 3 games and would have been incredibly nervous. There wasn't any nerves in that game, none.
Yeah, and I think it's worth mentioning as well. Obviously, the result was pretty shocking against Dorking, but the performance wasn't. And I think you do take a bit of confidence from that. Like on a different day, it's a completely different scoreline. And obviously, once you go 2-1 down late in the game, you're obviously throwing more players forward, so you're more open to susceptible to conceding a goal. So obviously that comes with that, and it makes the result look worse. But on the grand scheme of things, it's one of them where on paper it looks poor, but when you actually knuckle down to the facts of the game and how well we did play, the pitch, all of these different factors, it's kind of understandable, and you don't lose as much confidence than you would by being absolutely battered by a team. Do you know what I mean? You still have that belief in the way that you play and in the way that the manager wants you to play.
Yeah. Scott, this season looks completely different. Every other season I've been thinking if we lost a player, we'll struggle. And this season, I think whoever steps up will do a job. That's pretty much, George, what you were saying about the side. The bench has never been stronger. I do think we've got the strongest bench in the National League. Like I don't know in depth about every side, but I look at the lineups for Chesterfield and Wrexham. I think our bench is stronger. Bar Shimanga is sort of mulling around on the bench at the minute, and every time he comes on, he scores. But overall, what was our bench at the weekend? Scott, Austin. Who else was on there? Was it Francis, Mitchell, and Adebayo rolling, maybe, possibly. Possibly, but it's just we're so strong in depth, and it's crazy. You were saying earlier, 1 loss in 10. It could be if we carry this on all season. What will that average out? 4 to 5 losses across the whole season?
Yeah,
might still not be enough to win the league.
Well,
which
I
is
think
crazy.
it will be.
You think it would be?
Yeah.
What we're getting at the minute. How many points are we on?
I don't
currently
know. I'll quickly look.
Because let's sort of work out where we'll be at the end of the season based on these points.
We're currently on 21 points. Yeah.
So times that by 4 to get us to 40 games, 84 points, and then you're looking at what? 90, maybe 97, 98? You think that's enough? 97, 98?
97 points.
Yeah. I think it's close. It's close. We had this debate a few weeks ago. It's so close.
Yeah, I do think it looks peachy now, and it looks like it's going to be pretty relentless. And don't get me wrong, I think it probably will be for a little while. But I don't see how 3 teams can sustain this level of performing week in, week out.
No, they can't. That's why they didn't do it. That's why I didn't do it the week of the Dorking game. Neither of them sustained it, and we didn't take advantage. Nearly swore them. We didn't take advantage, and that really, really annoys me. It seems to be every season, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But like I've just said, it wasn't a bad performance. It's not like the pressure's got to us. It's just one of those things, isn't it, where minimal things go wrong in the game, but when things do go wrong, we are, ultimately punished for it. So you kind of take it. Do you know what I mean? Whereas there were some games in previous seasons that you've gone to and you just think, what on earth was that? That was the worst performance I've ever seen. Like, I mean, I don't want to go too much back into the past, but some of the later games under Ardy were awful. Like we were registering like 2 shots on target or something.
Yeah.
And I think in one game we registered the first shot registered was in the 80th minute. So, you've got to take a lot of confidence from the way that we're playing, and you got to look at York. York have conceded up until they played Notts, had conceded the least in the league, and we went there and put 3 past them. And you know what? It could have been a lot more as well. It really could. And they had minimal shot. I think they scored with their only shot on. So against a good opponent that are in and around the playoffs.
Yeah.
At this moment, we've completely outclassed them.
Yeah. Andrew says Wrexham drew at Southend. Yeah, Southend's not an easy place to go, but to get that draw there is quite an important draw. It could be come the end of the season. Chesterfield pulled a rabbit out of the hat at Maidstone. All teams will drop points. They all will drop points. But it's like Chesterfield for me. Left it late against, was it Yeovil? And look, they were 1-0 up late on, and Maidstone score 88th minute. And I thought to myself, that is it. And with virtually the last kick, they just seem to do it. They have a knack of doing it. And it's at that point, I'm looking at the results as the Notts game ticks down, and Notts have pretty much guaranteed the win. And I see Maidstone who scored, and then I look again, it's 92nd minute, and they're still drawing. I think we're finally going to gain points. Look, we'll be on the same points as almost the same points as Chesterfield, and they score. So it's demoralising from a fan's point of view. I don't think the players will care yet. We're 10 games into the season. So Jordan says Chesterfield's performances aren't already great. They're not. And that you can make it look 2 ways. You can say, look, well, they're going to improve at some point and they're already winning. Or you can say, maybe they won't improve and maybe this is as good as it's going to get for them. I don't know. It's interesting.
I think it's hard to say that, though. Like, unless we're really at the games, it's difficult to see how well or poor Chesterfield are playing.
I think Jordan's going, and same with me, based off what their fans are saying.
Oh, fair enough.
Based off the replies I've seen to their full-time results. Was it Yeovil where they snatched one late? They weren't very good in that game at all.
Yeah,
I don't up to half time, especially against Maidstone, they weren't very good either. So I think it's based on that, based on their fans' perspectives. So I just saw a really, really good comment I want to bring the point of, George, because our third goal comes from our press, doesn't it? Oh, here it is. I'm not sure it's a great comment. I'll put him up. I don't really like him too much, but it's Jordan. Yeah, lovely lad. I think our fitness levels, not including injuries, will see us keep it up for longer than others. The third goal comes from our fitness, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And
It's relentless, isn't it? The levels at the minute.
It is. And if this was 3 games into the season, I'd say we couldn't sustain it. But we're 10 games into the season when we've played some Tuesday games as well already.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that, look, Bromley's already been pushed back. We've already got that game pushed back. Do you think it's something you could genuinely see not keeping up? Because pitches will get heavier, it will get more tiring the longer the season goes on. I always remember something you told me. You were listening to a podcast, weren't you? And it had a former physio on. Was it the former Arsenal physio?
Yeah, former Arsenal, England. Honestly, for the life of me now, I can't remember his name. But I actually listened to that when we did the half marathon, funnily enough. But he was saying, towards sort of maybe not like after Christmas, not the end of the season, but over halfway or around that mark. You've probably got 2, maybe 3 players that are completely fit. The rest just are carrying some form of niggle or minor injury or even major injury. He's like, and that's the same in every club, and that's at the highest level. So there's actually some really interesting points on that as well. Why would I watch a podcast with a physio? But he talks about selling players at the right times before their bodies sort of deteriorate and things like that. It's quite interesting.
Carl Roberts.
But and this is the thing as well. Like you're talking about, can we keep it up for the entirety of the season? It's literally who knows, because no one knows. I mean, you look at some of the teams like Leeds under Bielsa, like they struggled at the end of the season because they were so hard done in training, which is well documented with the murder ball that they were doing and stuff like that. They would get a lot of injuries at the end of the season, and results would show that at the end of the seasons under Bielsa, Leeds would struggle. And I'm not saying that we're being put through that much vigorous activity in training. But I mean, can we pull across the whole season? I'd like to think we can, but it's difficult to say, isn't it? Like, at the end of the day, it's fifth. We're in the 5th division.
Do you know what?
The channel mascot's trying to make an appearance here.
Go on, let her on.
Let's have a look. There she is.
There we go. She won't behave today or not?
Yeah, she's been all right. She's been biting the feet then, still through the teething, but she's all right. She's doing all right.
Fair enough. What I'd say is, start of the season, we're like sort of here with our pressing intensity, and we've only gone up so far. We've only gone up. We've got a Saturday game against Altrincham. We've got a Tuesday game then against Wrexham. Massive, massive game. What I do think is that the way we're playing, the goals we're scoring, look, the Aldershot game, 2-0 in the end, 2 crosses, yeah, Scott and Langstaff. After 65 minutes, that game's not taking that much out of the players. Definitely not. We're playing keep ball, and rarely do any players have to put a full-on sprint back to our own goal. So I'd say the way we manage games, people are saying, oh, why is he bringing Langstaff off when he's on 2 goals? Do it. Why keep him on to score a hat-trick when there's more time to get injured, more time to be fatigued? He's our main presser. He's the first man that presses defences. If you watch that goal, he's a major part of that third goal as well. And the fact he's in the right position is so important. I'd rather Langstaff get a goal or 2, be bought off when we're comfortable in the 70th minute. I'll take that. And I'm sure across the season, you would say to Langstaff, look, you're going to play 70 minutes, but you'll have more in the tank for the next game. He'd take that too. And it's not like we have Langstaff and he comes off and no one can replace him. Look at the other day. You had Scott replacing him, or Mitchell, but whoever came on for actual Langstaff. The point of it is, it was it was Scott, a proven goal scorer that started to score for Notts, is replacing him. So I think the way we manage games, if we can get well ahead in games, take the pressure off, let it rest. I think the way we play as well, I'd like to know our possession, but the opposition do a hell of a lot more running than us. Maybe not distance-wise, but it's the hard sprints, isn't it, that matter. So it's those hard sprints. Ian says, I'll take 2 goals a game from Mac and gives him 90 goals. Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. I wouldn't mind that at all.
To be fair.
He was on, was it, I think it was either TalkSport or 5 Live today or yesterday. Langstaff.
Not sure. I'm not seeing that.
I think it's Kevin Davis says something like, there'll be in a mess come January if they sell him. Not an obvious thing to say. At this rate in January is worth 450k. Would you say? Channel Mascot thinks 500k.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, she's 500k.
500k. No one's getting him out in January for cheap.
Difficult. No, I don't think anyone will get him out in January. I really don't. I mean, it's literally, it's one of them where you can put a price on it, but I think there's more value for Langstaff to stay at least a full season and try and get promotion with Notts. Do you know what I mean? It looks better on your CV to get back-to-back promotions rather than, sort of leave a club and then, sort of take it from there. But in terms of a monetary value, I think it is difficult because it's only worth as much as someone's willing to pay. And I know it's an obvious thing to say, but one club could all of a sudden get a new owner that's seen this, player in the National League that's breaking records and looks like he's going to break the National League scoring record and things like that and think, yeah, we're going to get him in whatever the cost. So there's a lot of different factors, isn't there? So I think it's hard to put a value on it. But I'd say as much as Notts would be so against selling Langstaff, they probably do have a value in mind for January.
Yeah, I was just throwing that out there because I think it was a ridiculous comment to say. Like, that's like me saying if Haaland gets injured, Man City are in a mess. Like, it's an obvious thing to say. No way we'll sell him. I'd
hate to see him go as well. Imagine how gutting that'd be. Like, we've just got our best striker in about nearly 15 years, and that were to happen 6 months after getting it, it would be heartbreaking.
At this rate, you wouldn't put it past him being on 20 by January, which is insane.
No, I agree. I think why not? That's only a hat trick and 5 goals away.
Yeah, your math is incredible.
I mean, you've got to look at it like this. That's 4 braces.
He loves a brace.
That's 4 games away.
Yeah.
So it's doable. It's doable.
It is doable. And he just looks like he's getting better and better. Did it feel to you like his goal was in slow motion? He took it so calmly, and I thought he's held on too long. His second.
Well, his second, yeah. That first goal, I think, was a joke.
Yeah.
Like in real time, I just thought how he's got on the end of that, because it's not exactly like a lofted, nicely put cross, is it? It's put in the area with a lot of pace on it, and he's got his head on it. And you got to give him some credit. He's good with his head, isn't he?
He is good, yeah. Charlie, what did Ricky Miller get? I think it was 40.
Yeah, it was 40.
40.
Yeah, 40.
Wow. That's 40. I wouldn't say Langstaff could get 40. I'd be stupid to say that. That's so many. That's so many. Like, we can't believe how well he's playing right now. But if he's on 20 by Christmas, then he's got to go through again and get another 20 in the second part of the season. Too many for me. 40 is an incredible number. I don't know how we managed to do it.
So we've played 11 games now.
10.
10 games. And he scored 12, isn't it?
Yeah.
Could get 50.
He's not getting 50. I'd say if he gets to 30, that's incredible.
What would you do if you got to 40? You've got to do some outlandish.
I'd go back and work at the pub.
That's crazy.
I'd go back and work at the pub.
With the way you left as well, that was mad.
It was a bad way of leaving, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Should I tell them how I left?
Go on.
Emptied the tap on the fryer. Didn't quite put the bucket underneath, just walked out. It was dramatic. I'll tell you that. It was dramatic.
Yeah.
Get your votes in. Who used to work at the pub? If you want to be correct, vote me. If you want to just be a bit out there but incorrect, vote George. Simple as that. 30 by Christmas, Chris says. If it's 30 by Christmas, we'll do a karaoke special on Christmas Eve. Yeah.
I'll just play the
Guaranteed,
music. Tom can sing.
Guaranteed.
If he is at 30 by Christmas, me and Tom will sing whatever songs you want us to sing, 2 each. If he is at 30 by Christmas, we need to somehow shake on that, Tom, because that is happening.
If he's at 30 goals,
we need to get people involved.
No, if he's at 30 by Christmas,
I'll do it on the centre circle.
The 2nd of January, we'll see Haaland and Langstaff up top for City if he's on 30.
Okay.
Guaranteed. Who was the one that said Macca and Scott wouldn't get double figures? I can't remember, but it definitely wasn't us. You promised these karaoke's before. I don't think anything's actually gone correct though, Chris. I don't think anything's actually... You're looking a bit sheepish, George.
No, you said that you do karaoke on the 50th episode.
No, I didn't.
That's looking mad for you.
My maths aren't great, but I think we're not at 50 yet. I'll do it. We're not at episode 50 yet.
That is pretty bad.
Altrincham, Notts County, 3rd in the National League, 21 points. Altrincham, 23rd, 8 points. Not shy of scoring. They've got 10. Others around them, Halifax 7, Torquay 6, Maidenhead 5 places above them only got 7, Southend 9 places above them only got 9. So they can score. They've conceded 19. Not fantastic. No. But 54th episode. No, it is the 54th episode, but I'm sure we're not at 50 yet. They conceded 19. We also went and played Dorking, who conceded the most. And we scored 1. So that doesn't always count. We're at Meadow Lane this time. We're not on a plastic pitch.
You just said it. You've just said it. We're at Meadow Lane.
I would be very, 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 very disappointed if we didn't get a win. And a lot of people have said, I can't pull up all the comments. Thank God they won at the weekend, because that would have stunk of them coming to Meadow Lane and getting a win.
No, not in my opinion. Disagree. I think regardless of what's going on, we win that game. Honestly, right? The only game this season at home that I have any sort of doubts that we might not win is on Tuesday night. The rest, we should be winning.
Chesterfield?
Well, we've already played them.
Did you have a doubt then?
Well, yeah, but we've already played them. I'm on about for the rest of the season.
Okay, fair enough. Were you like this with the customers in that kitchen where they kept coming into?
Well, when the regulars kept coming in the kitchen, it was winding me up. Yeah, so
was it? Yeah. Fair enough. Oh, right. We basically said it. We can't draw this game. We have to win this game.
Okay.
It's how we see that win coming. I would be delighted if it was similar to Aldershot, where we could take our foot off the gas 70, 75 minutes in and get a few players rested for Tuesday. I'm really trying hard not to talk about Tuesday because we're going to do that on Sunday night. But Tuesday's huge. Absolutely huge. So
yeah. Game at a time, though, isn't it? Game at a time.
It is a game at a time.
And, as much as me and Tom, I mean, you're not alone, Tom. I cannot wait for Tuesday night. You have to treat every game with the same amount of respect, because essentially you can only get the same amount of points from every game.
Yeah.
So each game is obviously as important as the other. And Saturday, it's a good opportunity, I think, to just show a bit of dominance at home. And I'm hoping, a few players chip in. I'm hoping to see Chickson score again, actually.
Do you know what? This is a really good point. Chris has said, do you realise that Wrexham is the last really big game we have at Meadow Lane this season? Chesterfield will be done, Wrexham will be done, and Solihull are done.
Big?
Like, as in very, very strong teams.
I was going to say...
no, yeah. Come on. Solihull were battering.
Solihull are. Yeah, Solihull are. I don't know about the other one.
Oh, you're going to get us in trouble with Wrexham fans.
I'm on about Chesterfield, but yeah.
Oh, yeah, true. Yeah, I don't mind about them. But that's a very good point. I've not thought about that. Who else comes that really, really, really worries? Oldham are decent, but they're not at that level. Boreham Wood could be. Bromley could. Other than that, get them out of the way. And if we could get those 3 out of the way without a loss, I feel confident. Ian's right though. Every game is massive. Every game's big, but
Yeah,
it's the last very, very strong team that come to us, isn't it? George, let's go for the lineup. 102 people live with us tonight. Really appreciate every single person that's tuned in.
Superb.
Spending your Thursday night with us. Listen to us just do an episode of Would I Lie to You?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, where else would you see this, really? It's actually,
where else would you see it?
It's cutting edge. And this poll is so tight. So
tight. You know where else you would see that kind of thing, though? If you came to the pub when I was working there, you would have seen it.
Yeah, oil everywhere.
You would have seen it. Yeah. Well, you wouldn't necessarily have seen a lot because I was in the kitchen, but, they don't allow punters in the kitchen.
They did at my pub.
Health and safety.
Oh,
health and safety. Obviously, it's obvious, isn't it? In your day. You're only 36. Right. Line up, George. They've only come for the mascot. I know. Couple of barks.
Who said that?
Chris.
Right, then,
George,
line up.
And this you've said this is incredibly difficult.
It is incredibly difficult, but I'm going to go for it anyway. Slocum in goal.
Yep.
5 at the back in the main.
Superb, by the way.
Other side
drops his shoulder.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's literally been incredible under Williams. Incredible. Probably one of the best players. Right. This is where it gets difficult for me. Back 3. Obviously, Chickson on the other side.
Yeah.
Cameron. Brindley. In no particular order, this is just the back 3. Yeah. I kind of want to say Rawlinson.
I agree.
I think he was really good on Saturday against York.
I don't see when Baldwin could come back in, as in you play Baldwin Saturday. I wouldn't play him Tuesday.
Yeah.
But then you can't not play him Saturday to save him for Tuesday.
I think just give him as much time as possible to really recover as well. I don't rush it back and set him back even further. And they obviously know that. I don't want to sound condescending, but I think whilst it's not really a major issue when Rawlinson is stepping up and stepping in and playing as well as he did against York, why change it and risk an injury,
Yeah, I also don't think the goal was his mistake. It was his short header away.
Yeah, that goal was just a funny one, I think.
I don't know who should have picked up, and I think we didn't expect the ball to end up there. So yeah. So I agree with you with that back 5.
Okay.
Now what do you do? Home to Altrincham, who we should dominate.
Matty Palmer, one of the first names as always.
Agreed.
Obviously, there's a bit of a concern over Bajrami, I know, with injury, isn't there?
And I would very much like Bajrami in for Wrexham.
I would, yeah. So that's being kept in the brain. So I'm going to go Jim.
Okay.
I'm going to go Jim, and then in front, or am I going to go Jim? Do you know what? I'm going to go Jim. I'm going to go Castro, Ruben, Langstaff, purely for the fact. But I know Scott is coming back, and I think he picked up a little bit of a niggle, didn't he? Because that's why he didn't start against York.
Yeah.
So I think save Scott for Wrexham. Yeah,
I'd like to say Badge to start, but I'd either start Badge and give him 45 minutes, 50, 60 minutes maybe, and then bring Jim on, or I bring Jim on and bring Badge on as soon as possible. But Bajrami won't have lost a lot of fitness, not really. But I agree with you. I think the exact same as you've said. And then if we keep Scott for Wrexham, you've suddenly got 2 strikers that can score that they've got to deal with. So, Wrexham. Not heard of them. Fair enough. There's a show out, I think, on
Netflix,
something like that. Yeah. So yeah, that's the team. That's the team I would go with. I would rest Jim as he's on 4 yellows and save him for Wrexham. Ooh, Dale, you throw him on in there. That might be good, but I'd also I'd like Badge in there. Bit of a destroyer.
Cop DM. Seize the day.
Yeah. Seize the day. I don't know how that applies to this, but there you go. Right.
Well, if
George.
he's getting another yellow card, I don't think it matters too much. Not in the respect that
You wanted to play in the Wrexham game. That's what they were saying.
Yeah, 100%. But you've got to throw caution to the wind sometimes. You might not get a yellow card.
Fair enough. You just got to take it as it comes. And I don't think it's necessarily always great to say to a player that's not. Obviously, if they're on a yellow halfway through the game, you tell them to calm it down. But a player like Jim, yeah, that's what I mean. So Jordan played Jim against Alty, Badge against Wrexham. Okay, Ellie would rather have Badge than Jim against Wrexham. Very, very, yeah. It's one that's causing a bit of debate. George, we'll do the poll first.
And then we'll
do our score prediction. No. We'll do our score prediction, reveal the poll, and then we'll put people's scores in.
Okay.
Go on then. Score prediction. You go on. You go first.
3-0 Notts. Langstaff race. Chickson goal.
He could have scored in the last 4 games. I don't know how he's on the stretch, but he's got to be scoring that on Saturday, in my opinion. I go. I never like to do this because I never like to just. If you're an Altrincham fan watching this, I don't mean this as in I think Notts are just the greatest thing since sliced bread and they just batter everyone. But I think 4-0. I do think 4-0. And I'm going to go Langstaff, Brace, Ruben, and Chickson. I'm ready for that. Right, get your score predictions in, and whilst you do, we'll reveal who used to work in a pub kitchen. George, what's the results of the poll so far? Well,
pretty close. It's pretty close. So 44% say you, 56% are saying me.
Ooh. Some people say Chris said I was over egging it. Was that my plan all along?
Who was over egging it?
Me.
Yeah.
Over egging it, but right. The person that used to work in a pub kitchen, 44 to 56% was George. So well done if you voted for George.
Yeah.
There we go. If you voted for
close. It was close. I thought we've done well there because we've split opinion.
At one point, I was down to about 35%.
Yeah.
But you know,
good old days.
Did you let punters in the kitchen?
I didn't. No. I didn't. But there was people there where you turn up to shift if you started straight away and you'd know what they were having already, so you'd start preparing it. Do you know what I mean?
Lovely. That is your top lad.
Thanks,
you're a top lad. There's a good story about someone ordering a full English 2 minutes before your shift ended that we'll save for another episode. Possibly the karaoke episode. Right, let's see. Andrew says 2-0 Notts, Macca and Ruben. Chris says 3-0 Ruben, Macca and Cameron. I think there's going to be a bit of a pattern, George, of who's on the goal scoring here. Scott says 3-0 Macca and Brinley Power Driver with Ruben as well. Ellie, 3-0 Ruben and Langstaff. I think he's been in everyone so far. Ian Birchnell, 3-0 Macca, Castro and Jim. Yeah, Castro's a good shout. Callum, obviously the most sensible one. 5-0 Chicks and hat-trick, Langstaff and Rawlinson. I don't even think it's silly anymore because Chickson could score. I never thought it was silly anyway, Callum. We've got 4-0 Notts, Macca times 2, Scott and Ruben.
Hold on. Can I just say something? Do you know the other week, we sort of sarcastically said Callum, is the most realistic when we played Dagenham and he said 5-0 and we actually won 5-0.
Yeah. I told you, I don't mess about.
Okay. Why did you let the oil out in the kitchen then?
You're well behind. You were in delay or something. We established I didn't work there.
Oh, yeah.
3-1 Langstaff times 2. Or 1 for them for pity. I'd like a clean sheet. Chris says, who did you vote for, Tom? I voted for the correct answer of George. I did do that. I didn't bump myself up. But
the polls are obviously split there then, really.
Yeah, a couple of weeks we've had a fairly split one. Wasn't last week 48 or 49?
Yeah, I wonder what next week's could be. We'll do a similar sort of...
Yeah, we'll bring one out of the pipeline. We will. Right, that is our Thursday show wrapped up. Thank you so much for joining us. We've already mentioned there will be a Sunday show. Let's hope we're positive after Altrincham, but there will be a Sunday show for the Wrexham game, the big one. Be sure not to miss that. It will be 7:30 on Sunday evening. I'd like to see as many of you as possible joining in with the chat, letting us know what you think. Any Wrexham fans watching now, very unlikely, but get yourself back here on Sunday. Have a bit of friendly banter and a debate. As always, this has been Pavis Perspective 54, powered by Better Bites. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel.